Hey there, it's Phoenix Amore. So now we're moving on forward, back into what God wanted me to do when I was speaking about tarot and whatnot. So I gave you that interesting history, right, about tarot actually having some part of the Catholic Church. A lot of people didn't know that. And so I wanted to I pulled out a few little cards here. This little video here is going to speak about some of the more prominent cards that when you relate it to the Catholic Church or have churches in general, however you want to say it. So speaking on the Catholic aspect of things, the Hierophant, see, is the Pope, as you can see here. It's number 5 in the tarot deck. But the Pope also, if you remember, would lead military. So this actually represents anything structured, tradition, okay, from Pope to military. When you're reading on marriages, this would be another indication of something traditional like marriage. So that's what I need to kind of stress to people. So this is the Pope, okay? Military. Anything structured. If you're reading relationships, it can be traditional marriage. Now, we talked about Moses. So some of the prominent characters, you know, Moses, Jesus, those two characters, I like to speak on them more so than anything, clearly, because Jesus is, you know, a big part of that whole Holy Trinity thing that we spoke on, you know, and that is in the Bible. And if you know your stuff, you understand what the Holy Trinity is. So I wanted to actually start pulling these things out again because of the fact that we've had some time now since I made the other videos where you've gotten to kind of know the stuff that I can see in dream state, astral projection, however you want to say it. So one interesting combination that you may get to represent somebody with Moses-like abilities, whatever you want to call it, would be a magician and the hermit. So the thing about it, if you see there, magician, in this case, would be somebody like a Moses. Again, if you can see all the elements there, right? In the magician card, you can see how this could relate to Moses' staff being there, the elements, having control over the elements. So again, remember Moses' background was trained in the ancient ways of Egyptians, however you would say it, and then God taking Moses, okay, and turning him more into a hermit personality, right? Which was, okay, now you've got all these tools. See, I like to show you why the imagery is so cool when you talk about biblical stuff. This would be a Moses. Now God's taking him to train him in his ways, as you want to say. Now you got the hermit, which also represents Moses, you see? But this is the path when Moses started understanding more about God. He had to do it alone. That's key there. Now, I've already talked about judgment before in a video, right? But I'll show you just again to let you know when we talk about Judgment Day. This card actually would represent when I say the veil again is broken. It is literally right now that Neptune in Pisces returning to Pisces. Neptune is now in Pisces. So the veil breaking, okay, if you know what the veil breaking means, it means like people are going to see more things that in that spiritual realm that they're not used to seeing. So at the end of the day, it's going to, some people, I've had a lot of reader friends tell me, girl, I'm getting calls from people saying they saw this demon thing put something over their face and all that. It may very well be true because that the veil is broken. So a lot of people that used to not be able to see some of this, they're seeing it and they don't know how to deal with it. So as far as I'm concerned, like I said, I'm more here in the sense that I can see it. I know how to deal with that stuff. When I was helping to kind of avert some of that energy and understanding what God had me do, that's where I was talking about that intervention. So now, unfortunately, with all this negative energy that's floating around because all the witchcraft stuff became so prevalent and people got so comfortable in it, when I say the veil broke, this is more so what you have. So when you talk about no intervention, that's what I'm trying to say. Now you don't have anybody saying, hey, this is going on now. It's just going on. And I find it interesting because I want to share this with people. Just this morning, my mother and I spoke. And she mentioned just what I was saying when she was talking about the soldiers that didn't listen to God. And it's something that was supposed to take 11 days, took 40 years to accomplish because they were so hard-headed. God said, okay, fine, do it your way. Doing it God's way would be 11 days. Doing it your way would be 40 damn years. So just understand that's another thing about the judgment. When that veil is broken and God's like, I'm not doing anything. Now you just, that's it. So the one card that I like to speak on, Jesus. All right. So the hangman. Okay, now when you think about Jesus hanging from the cross, right? That was a sacrifice. But the other thing, so this can be a martyr card and the Jesus card, right? But the other thing about the hangman, this person intentionally let themselves hang there. Okay, that's why I talk about Jesus in that respect. It's like a sacrifice. I'm hanging here. Clearly, if Jesus had power to do certain things, he could have wiped out all those people, that wanted to hang him. But he was like, no, this was just something I was supposed to do, so I got to let this go. So that's why I said this is a Jesus card, but this is also getting another perspective. So sometimes when you get this, when you're reading for somebody, though it's a Jesus card, you have to understand Jesus would put himself in the shoes of another person in order to be able to heal. If you really think about what that means, when I say Jesus didn't work in the church, that means Jesus would put himself in the shoes of others in some capacity to have that compassion and say, we could judge and do this, but I'm here and I'm seeing this, and this is how I know how to heal. So this card is very important. Now, when you talk about healing, this is what temperance is. So when I speak about moderation, all that stuff you read in the Bible about moderation, that is actually what this card is doing. You see the fire up here and you see the water. So you see this angel is actually blending this stuff in order to create healing. So when I talked about rainbows and stuff, even though people are like, what, LGBT? No. That's one unfortunate aspect when people talk about rainbows. No, I'm not saying I'm anti anything. But when I was talking about rainbows, I'm talking about healing. So now I finally get to show these people these cards. When I said rainbows, I said it's hit. I'm seeing the rainbows I see are not what you're seeing. So I'm not talking about gay, lesbian, whatever. Healing. This is what I was speaking of. So anyway, I'm excited to continue to share all this knowledge with those that are open to receive it. So all the people that wanted to kind of know when I kept saying, hey, you don't know the whole history about tarot and has some association with the Catholic Church, now I can really educate you. Take care.